We are live. You can start.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening, everyone. You're most welcome at our early sessions in YIC organization. It's our pleasure to invite these brilliant minds for you today to enjoy some of the uh, updated information about the the startups ecosystem and how it is going worldwide. About us in YIC. It's a youth international conclave. It is committed to youth development programs established with aim of bringing potential youth across all the globe to connect with each other in other fields such as cultural, technical, educational, and business fields. We do our effort to arrange various programs and generate various opportunities for all the youth to fulfill the needs of today's society and give the society of tomorrow leaders. So basically, we're bridging the youth leaders to the world. It is a new establishment, just 2020, and this is one of our yearly events. You're most welcome. And let's start our event with introducing our guests. We have Miss Tracy. She's a director in 2WU Center for Women Entrepreneurs. Engineer Sayed Rizwan Ali, assistant professor manager incubation in Bahari University, Karachi campus. We have Dr. Naveed Yassin, associate professor in entrepreneurship and innovation in the Canadian University in Dubai, and Dr. Samantha Hersman, the president of Innovation Ecosystem Society, and Her Excellency Layla Rahal At-Tafani, the founder and president of Business Gate. I'll just give our panelists 1 to 2 minutes to introduce themselves, and we will begin with Engineer Sayed Rizwan Ali.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Saeed Rizwan Ali. Working as assistant professor and the manager of business incubation center in the Bahari University Karachi campus. And I'm working with startups and studying and also teaching in entrepreneurship in the Bahari University. Thank you.
Mrs. Tracy, if you could
Good morning, or where you are, good evening. I'm Tracy Irving. I'm the director at Texas Women's University Center for Women Entrepreneurs in Denton, Texas. Our center helps women in Texas start, grow, or expand a business. We were funded by the state legislature in 2015 just to help promote women in business anywhere in the state of Texas.
Engineer Sayed Rizwan.
Yes, please.
Your Excellency, Ms. Layla.
Hi, everyone. It's here. As he mentioned, our great moderator. I am Layla Rahal, a president and founder for Business Gate, president of United Youth Circuit, and president of Women Empowerment, vice president of RIFAI NGO in Switzerland. Whatever the title, my goal is to empower women and youth and to help them to find their way for the business. And that's why we found the latest organization in Cambodia. It's called Youth Gate. And also in States, we Business Gate Club for bridging businessmen and businesswomen internationally. And for that, we are empowering the youth entrepreneur. Thank you.
Dr. Naveed.
Yes, thank you very much. Dr. Naveed Yassin from the Craig University of Dubai. I'm an associate professor in entrepreneurship, and I'm also the lead for the university's interdisciplinary enterprise education coordination, as well as the lead for the university's business incubator and the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Samantha?
Assalamu alaikum. Great to be here. I'm very privileged to be in this incredible panel. I'm an entrepreneur scientist at heart. I'm a human machine interface specialist. You'll see my robot behind me. But I'm also the president of the Innovation Ecosystem Society. And like Dave, I lead the Startup Grind in Dhahran. And also, I hold another board position in the Institute for Health and Productivity Management. Delighted to be here, and thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And we're going to launch and start with the this question that is frequent, and everyone, like, they have their own way of expressing their answer about, which is like, the entrepreneurs, are they born or made, and how are they made?
The question is for me or for whom? I'm sorry, because I did not. Hello? The question is for me, Your Excellency. Hello?
Yeah, just go ahead, Miss Leila.
Okay. You're talking about entrepreneur. It's a very interesting question because it need a lot of effort. It's easy to say that entrepreneur is made to be entrepreneur, but no one is born with his profession, and no one is born with his title and his name. For sure, entrepreneur has to be made. They has to work on them skills, education, knowledge, and to know a lot about how to be entrepreneur. And the great things is they have to know the way to be in the future as a businessman or entrepreneur in different field. And they need experience. They need a talent. Without experience, without knowledge, without study, we cannot be someone, whatever is the title. A business or the entrepreneur businessman need capacity and the knowledge and to study the way he wants to make his step in a life and what is the idea he wants to build up himself and personality and career for the business to be entrepreneur. Thank you.
Okay, that's wonderful. Yes, that's wonderful. I just wanted to comment on that the entrepreneur aren't born or they just make yourself. But the first thing is that it's about the mindset. It doesn't mean that you just born and you are infant. You say I have to do something. No, it's just a certain mindset. It could be from when you're born and what the activities that you have been seen around yourself might be the family that you come up. They are the family. They have the family businesses. They're engaged. So it might be possible you all keep engaged. If you see that many of the people, if they have a family background, mostly they just run that business because this is the family ties. They have to do it. Or those guys they have a mindset to do something. The entrepreneur being that you have to give back to the society and you are always trying to find a solution of a problem. So this is a certainty. So it can be born or it can be after the born you have faced a problem and you are trying to solve a problem or you need to fix it up or in terms of any monetaries. So it could be an entrepreneur. So myself, so it could be both of the things. Either you have to born or you can build yourself according to your society or according to the problems that you are facing on. Thank you.
You are right, but telling you one thing, a lot of them and them brothers, because my doctor or my father have to be entrepreneur. That experience is not done because they are leader, right? It's You want
Your
that?
voice is breaking. I cannot hear you properly. I'm not sure about the other
That
participants, but I cannot hear you properly.
yeah, I say no. Anyone has to follow what he have in family as doctor. He has doctor. Our mind fast.
Miss Layla, we cannot hear you very well, so we'll just go now to Dr. Naveed.
Okay. Okay.
Hello, yes. Well, when I read that question, I thought, okay, this is how pretty much all
I think he's lost.
actually quite a, it's quite a, can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly? Yeah. So it's an age-old question. It's not just in the field of entrepreneurship. It's being asked in many other fields like leadership and many others. And the reality is there is no gene of entrepreneurship. If there is a gene of entrepreneurship in our body, what is that gene exactly? However, it does not necessarily mean that people are born entrepreneurial. My colleague from Bahrain just mentioned, people may be in family business. I am one of them who comes from a family business background, yet I choose not to be in business and be in academia. So essentially, I don't think that it's as predictive as people think. However, the lay position is that if you were to ask somebody on the road, okay, they would say, yeah, you have to be born an entrepreneur, and if your father or forefathers were entrepreneurs, you would become an entrepreneur. And there's no conclusive evidence to suggest that that's the way things are. So essentially, I would say that there are some things that, some traits that are conducive for entrepreneurship, like being creative, like having a need for achievement and having a low control and these type of things. But there is no such thing as being born as an entrepreneur. I think we can pretty much be whatever we want to be, providing that we have the right type of resources. And if we have those traits, great. If not, then we can develop it, because it's about a mindset, like my colleague just suggested. And the skill set as well. So essentially, we can't expect somebody to be born in an entrepreneurial family and to be great at understanding, break-even analysis and cash flow statements and these type of things. So I think it's quite a redundant question. I think it should actually be scrapped from all the textbooks, because it's very useless. So that's my perspective on it. Nevertheless, I'll let you move on. Thank you.
I think with the same statement, which is like it's all about the mindset and it's a skill that can be developed. Mrs. Tracy, what do you think about it?
I think it can be a combination of things, but really, I think it's personality traits. Someone who has perseverance, that can keep going even when things aren't going the way they expected. People that can overcome hurdles, those that don't mind working all hours, day and night. I mean, it's hard to have a business. So some of those skills can be learned, but I think some is the mindset and the personality, and that hopefully they have the skills needed to start, grow, and go through the business, good and bad times.
You are mute.
That's not nice way of looking at it. So what about Dr. Samantha? What do you think about it?
Well, I think this is a fantastic first question because obviously all the panelists are in agreement. We all believe that it's both. It's both you have that DNA, that drive inside your cells, and you also have the ability to be developed and grow. And I truly believe, like what we've agreed upon as our first question, it's that growth mindset. It's about, as Tracy mentioned, taking the risk. It's about, that passion, that perseverance, and that persistence. So I strongly believe that it's not either one, it's both. And like Dr. Naveed mentioned, we can't find the chromosomal pattern, but we truly believe that somewhere in our DNA that there's some DNA structure that links to being an entrepreneur. And it's up to everyone else to decide if they want to develop that further. And your environment and your process and your design and what you're experienced to in life gives you that opportunity. So I truly believe that it's both. Thank you.
That question was only the opening.
Can I just come in sideways here, actually, with that here?
Go ahead, Timothy.
Yeah. Yeah, I do believe that, like I mentioned, the trait theory on recognizing certain traits, like Dr. Samantha is talking about having a DNA. It's just like if I was to try to explain this to a class of any as hard as Mike Tyson, you know?
We cannot hear you.
Mike Tyson, we can't. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So even if we were trying to be Mo Farah, the fastest sprinter in the world, there's something special about these people who are, out there that are innate within them. But I do think it's more down to when it comes down to the field of entrepreneurship being an art, it's a combination of both. But essentially, I think because this question is an age-old question, I think it's stopping a lot of the advancement in entrepreneurship theory. And we're not moving beyond even defining what an entrepreneur is, let alone trying to work out their DNA structure. But there is some evidence, scholarly evidence on Scott Shane's work, which was looking at two twin brothers. I think it was Scott Shane, as far as I remember, and they did a study to understand these characteristics, and there was no conclusive evidence to suggest this. So as far as research has gone from that point of view, there is no conclusive evidence. It's either or sort of question. It depends on what you believe, really. But I think the general perspective still remains in today's day and age, having worked in 3 different countries and many different universities and working with different environments, the general perception that people have in the non-academic world of entrepreneurship is that, you can't teach people to become entrepreneurs. They either are or they are not. So I think that pretty much wraps up that one. But yes, I think from a theoretical point of view, or from an examination point of view, if a student was to say that, yes, either or sort of question, answer to the question. Yeah.
That's really nice way of putting it, and it's both in the DNA and it's about how to apply it in real life. It's not a question itself. It's an introduction to the next question. Like, as an entrepreneur who found a problem that is solvable, how can they evaluate that it is a valid solution that could be fitted into the market and could scale up? And the other thing is, what are the steps toward this thing?
Okay, if I wanted to make a comment on that if you are saying that what is important, you can say the steps to take in action an idea. The first step you need to follow. Normally, I give an example to the student that from your home to university, or your home to your work, or your home to anyone else, what sort of problems that you are facing or what you are watching, then you need to work on that. Like, if you see the idea behind on the Uber or the Kareem, what was it? Was that the public? The people they are facing a problem, a transport problem. So that's why they have solved the issue. So the idea comes from anywhere, the way you are thinking, but it has to address a solution of any problem or in your locality, in your city, in your country. So you have to work from that an idea that you are come up, and about the validation of that idea you need to work on that. Definitely there has to some timelines that you need to define. I know that being in entrepreneurship is not like snap the finger, yeah, eureka, I've done that thing. There is a certain process, like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. If you just go and see that many of the entrepreneurs, they have put their lives into it. There's so many failures, there are so many things, and afterwards they say, okay, eureka, we have done this and we have validated the idea. So we need to work on that, and there has to be a calculated risk that you need to evaluate your idea, and then you need to start work on the first day, and it will take some time, but it will done. That's what I think personally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll go ahead and answer that one. Yes, I really think one of the first important steps for a startup is really to put together a business plan, start putting their ideas on paper. So many have the ideas, but they don't think everything all the way through. So as they do this, they can start researching the idea or what it is they want to do for a startup. They can evaluate, they can take surveys, they can interview people, they can be asking others what they think about the idea or process or business that they want to start. And as they're going through, again, work through a business plan or the business canvas model, whatever type they want to do, to really get the ideas to see if it is feasible. Is this something that's going to make some money? Is it something that's going to support them? Is that what they're looking for with this idea? So I think they really need to take a really large picture and think through the idea before they proceed.
Nice.
Yeah, following in from Tracy's comments there, going back to our first question, which was about asking the question of entrepreneurship is a science or are you born with it? And I think this comes down to disciplined entrepreneurship. And what I've learned over the years is that before you even start your business plan or your business canvas, spend some time. Like what I've learned, and I've had the opportunity to go through the MIT Disciplined Entrepreneurship training with Professor Bellolay, which really allows you to go through a framework of RWW. R is for like, is your idea actually a real problem? Are you solving a market need? The next question you should ask yourself is W, is the technology or the idea or the solution that you're looking at, is it going to win? And then the other W, is it worth it? Like Tracy mentioned, is it going to make money? Like, is it going to have a business driver? So from my experience, before you even go and invest in a business canvas, invest in the detailed business plan, because that takes hours and hours of effort. And also ask yourself, is my idea wild enough? Because you want to be emergent. You want to develop deep tech, emergent technology that doesn't exist yet, right? And if you do that, you need to go through a very detailed, customer-orientated design thinking process. We use a lot of mashups where we create various different industries that would never exist together. So, for example, aerospace and mashing it up with maybe oil and gas. Like, this is what you've got to do as an entrepreneur first. And if anything, when you think about your first idea, spend some time tinkering and making up these wild ideas and look at it from a very, idea constrained perspective. Otherwise, as you go through your business plan, you may find that you haven't explored it first. So I think the ideation and discovery at the front end is so essential, and be wild and crazy with those ideas. We've got incredible technologies today to use design thinking. So I would strongly recommend, before you embark on investing in your business plans and doing your business canvases, look at your idea, RWW. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Samantha.
Yeah, I think
Dr.
I'll just take on from here, really. I agree with all of the things that have been mentioned there. I run a program based on the Stanford University's design thinking process. And to just give a bit of background to how entrepreneurship education has actually changed quite a lot, or enterprise education has changed. Initially, when entrepreneurship education was launched within universities, it was taken as another management discipline, where you would have traditional examinations and you would have midterms, and and you would write these really very obsessive biographies of successful entrepreneurs and stuff. So, and we realized that that's not the right way to do it. And then in terms of ideation, I think a lot of universities initially started with this whole idea is think of 100 random ideas, let's shortlist them down, let's filter them. So randomly students are looking for that moment of inspiration for coming up with a random idea. And then they would come up with something like, okay, maybe a stamps collection shop doesn't exist in the city of Bradford in the UK, so maybe I should create one. Well, it doesn't exist because there's no need for it. That's why it doesn't exist. It doesn't mean that there's a gap in the market, essentially. So then things have moved on towards more design thinking processes, and I strongly believe that is the best way to go about it. First, identify the problem. And the problem could be anything, So identify the problem, because you're not going to be successful if you're not solving somebody's problem in business. So whether that's providing a product or a service at a better price or a better quality, whether that's moving on to identifying a social issue in a country, you have to first have empathy before you go to the problem. Have that empathy that you really want to solve somebody's problem, because that's the only way you're going to move forward. So then, we just follow the same process of empathizing, defining, ideating, and, moving through that design thinking logical process, and then experimenting with our idea, and then coming back and then thinking, okay, is there any better way we can still do this, and coming up with those multiple options within that defined context, rather than looking for random inspiration. So I think that's pretty much the first steps. And then after that, what Dr. Samantha mentioned is understanding the market as well, in line with that, and seeing whether there's a market within that context, or is a market elsewhere for your innovation or your new product or service. So yeah, I think that would I think Dr. Samantha sums that up quite well, actually. So it's all of those things, but we don't want this to turn into a lecture, considering we're academics. So so yeah, I think in essence, I would say starting with having an empathy is very, very important. Empathy towards that person who you want to solve the problem for, or that market group, is pretty much the starting point.
Yeah, that pretty much covered the whole process of finding a real solution for a problem. Then after that, living the persona of the people who will use it. Then after that, trying to get into the right business model. Maybe we had like a lot of terminology. It's really good to go and read and try some of these terminology while we're doing our own solution for the problem that we have. Ms. Leila, if you have any input about this issue, which is the initial steps on starting the startup.
To start a business, I think all the doctors who are here mentioned great, because I have problems in work. Move another place. Because I'm new to this program, it's a little bit finding it critical, this program. We used to Zoom, it was clear on Google. Are you hearing me, please?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
To start any business, wherever to start, for the setup first, I think this is the question, right? Because I just connect. First, we have to put our goal, which is the idea which we want to do and to set up. Second, to study the market. Third, to believe on what we are going to do. To try to see the trustable partnerships what we have, and to make our own budget. We never go by enthusiasm and motivation, yes, but the reality in the market is very difficult, and competition is so big, especially in Dubai. A lot of people come and they want to set up a business, and they don't know no legal things, no any idea about the market. They think that just they come and they will start a business and it's great and they will do great job. Yes, but there is a lot of first step they have to know, the knowledge about the market, how to process legally with the government issues, and how to have a knowledge about that place where they're gonna set up, especially if it's commercial, like a business restaurant or any trading. But if it's services, it's easy. Any services around the world, it can be set up and it will work good. But anything to do with rotation or money-wise, they have to know that capacity of the market, with whom they're going to deal, how much time turnover they have to make, and also the capacity of buying, selling, and with whom they are going to work. There is a lot of strategies they have to put on evaluation before to start up anywhere. And the more important, no business without any visibility study or experience can be done in any zone, wherever, small or big. And need people who have experience, need consultancy, need people who advise in you how to start up your business. Without advice, without people who are professional in the field to give us them comment, to guide us in proper way, we cannot set up a business. Just like that. Thank you.
Thanks for the important aspects that should be like really considered while starting any startup. One of the things that start with the early on starting the startup until like later stages is finding the co-founder and the team members.
Okay.
So any comment about this aspect?
Someone gonna
Could you please repeat again? I couldn't hear you properly. Could you please repeat again?
Selecting a team member for your startup is something really essential as much as finding a co-founder. How much they should, who is the right person to pick, what is the way of handling the jobs inside how should be the dynamics inside the team?
Okay, that's a very good questions about the team members that you need to get into your idea. And as you have asked, which you have mentioned, that the first thing before selecting a team member, you need to understand what problem that you're addressing, and you need to find those mindsets, those persons who are working on that idea, or maybe who have worked on that, because they need to have some background on that. Otherwise, and second, and which is most important thing about the way they are working, and they are compatible with you or not. Because sometimes, if you have seen many times, it happens that the many people, they just mixed up, and after 1 month, 2 months, or maybe a few years, they just separated because they are not used to it, because they are not mentally compatible, that no, we are not working with you because you have this habits, we have this habits, I cannot work with you. So it happens. So you need to, the most important thing is that you need to work about the mindset, and you need to find a person from a similar background and who is familiar with you as well. And the second thing, it doesn't mean that, as you have mentioned, that how many members that you are the ideal. It depends. Either you are one, maybe you are more than 5, 10. It depends on the capability, the audience, the target audience, that what you are dealing with. If you have a product, like I'm drinking of water, this is the need of everyone in the planet. They require the water. It depends on the product, it depends on the service that you are dealing with. So yes, you have more than 100. It depends on the team members that you are dealing with. So it depends according to, and it varies about the product or the services that what you are providing. From my side, thank you.
That is a great question there. You may not need to hire everybody as employees when you're starting out. Many businesses don't have any money or much money to hire someone. So maybe you can have some consultants. You can find a CPA or an accountant to do your bookkeeping. You can find you work with a lawyer to answer all your legal questions, and then look at really what do you need in your business, what is most important, because every company is going to be different as to their needs. Do you need a salesperson? Do you need someone to bring in the inventory? Do you need somebody making your product? So you have to know and understand your business before you can do that. Some of the greatest advice I have heard is always hire someone smarter than you and that may be experts in other areas than you are. So that is where I'd seem to think who I need to hire, if I actually need to hire an employee, and then look for those that will fill the gaps in knowledge that you don't.
Yeah, that's a very good thing. I just make a comment on that. In our locality and like in our culture, I know the people, they are looking for lower than you, because they might have got afraid if we found some person more compatible, more knowledgeable than you, might be he or she will take over. It's just a comment on that.
It's a great message, really, when she say hire someone who's smarter than you. But the great leader always choose the stuff that which they are brilliant and have a charisma. But I think it's dependent of your projection and dependent of the size of your business. If you have a big business, that each position you have to fill it up with the right staff and right person. You need directors, you need the sales, you need. It's dependent what's the growth you are waiting from your business, and the market is up and down and according to the season. So we cannot decide how many staff to say. Maybe a big company have big capacity and expectation for the growth, and small, they maybe need 2 or 3 staff. But in electronic or now a lot of virtual, so people they have virtual, and there is a new wave of business that they are in base of commission, no salaries, work on base of commission. I mean, each business has a different strategy, I believe, and in the end is depending of the management. And we have to understand which kind of business we are leading before deciding for stuff. And like I say, always each things need evaluation, study, visibility, and study of the market. And then you can decide for your staff, your management. And as the world now is like small village, so everybody connecting to everybody, and it's easy to sell marketing, sell e-marketing and selling online, talking online, making strategies online. So it's the world has become virtual more than executing. Thank you very much.
And I think that's a fabulous point about this is why I created with the team here the Innovation Ecosystem Society, because at the end of the day, it's an ecosystem. And like what Tracy mentioned, you might not want to be, having full-time or part-time team members, but you want to reach out to your network. That's where your worth is. And as an entrepreneur, surrounding yourself with expertise and also surrounding yourself with experts, because in the Innovation Ecosystem Society, we have early stage entrepreneurs, inventors, matched up with business minds and investors. And that wonderful ecosystem is exactly what we need to be surrounding ourselves with in relation to the entrepreneurship field in general. And we have to sustain and grow together as an ecosystem. And I strongly believe that it's not just about a team, by the way, or numbers, because I know the question is about how many team members you should have. I go back to Her Excellency Leila, who mentioned it's about quality. It's about the quality that you bring to your team and the trust. And I know Dr. Naveed mentioned empathy very early on in this panel. And I think that we have to go back to that humanity and understand that it's the connectedness and the ability to share across our networks and our ecosystem that will really help drive the field of entrepreneurship in the future. Just for an example, I have an 11-year-old authorpreneur. She has published 3 books. And she's just been announced as a Guinness Book of World record holder. And she's our youngest member in our Innovation Ecosystem Society. And then, of course, we have our very expert, very, investors and angel investors in the ecosystem. So really, I think we need to move away from this team. I think we need to understand that the field itself needs ecosystems to support and to grow and to really leverage the field of entrepreneurship, which I feel very, very happy to be part of. Thank you.
That's a
Well, I would say I would agree with everything that's being said here. I don't think there's any difference in opinion when it comes to the ways in which startups should be resourced. However, if you were to ask any startup, what are your top 5 problems? Maybe after financial capital for startup, they would tell you that it's people, having people that they can trust and work with. And looking at I think it goes back to the context and the type of startup that you're looking at. Quite often, I've studied a lot of immigrant businesses, and that's what my area is, and particularly Pakistani immigrant businesses in the UK, Denmark, Norway, even here in the UAE. And the main issue is finding people who you can trust and have that loyalty. So as entrepreneurs working 100 hours a week, you're going to hire somebody and you're going to probably expect them to work at least 50 to 75 hours a week. Now, why should they do that? When there's an opportunity cost associated with it. They're not working for a big brand. You're not a big brand. That's the reality. You don't even know if you're going to make it in the end of the year, considering the startup, the failure of startups. So why should they be with you? So you're looking for a particular type of qualities in terms of loyalty, in terms of believing in your idea and having that faith in the enterprise for them to stick around. Otherwise, they'll be asking for more money because you're overworking them. You'll end up just driving them out of the organization because you are essentially a startup. So coming to the idea of how many people you should have, I don't think there's any rule of thumb. It depends on what you can get, and especially being entrepreneurial, it's about finding different ways in which you can attract different talents, and not all of them need to be monetized or have a monetary value to them. Some of them might have an intellectual value. You might want to give, a young person in a university or an intern, an opportunity to prove themselves. So I think going down that route, you might be able to come around a bit more strategically with finding a team which is built on that whole idea of having youth and new ideas and fresh ideas, and giving them the opportunity to actually enter the market. Because if they were to go into the graduate market, they're competing with thousands of other graduates for these prestigious, Apples and Googles and all these type of companies. So that's what I would believe would be the approach for a new startup.
Thanks for the statements. They're well covering the answer. By the way, we really guys, those who ask questions on the side, they really thank you for those questions. Thank you for your enthusiasm. I'll include some of them in the questions that I'm going to ask. Now we have the team members. We have a great idea or concept or business model that we're working on. What about the soil and the water and like the availability for the resources? The basically the incubators, accelerators, or like the role of universities to help in growing these startups, especially nowadays. Like for those people who hear us from all over the world, there are a lot of virtual accelerator incubators. You don't need to be there to have to use the resources. What are your comments regarding this aspect?
Okay, yes, that's true, because I'm from the incubator side, that I'm running an incubation center in the Pakistan, the Bahria University, Karachi. So yes, the students, we are engaging and we are working on the mindset to do something. As you can see, the situation all around the world, that everybody should want to be a job provider rather than a seeker in terms of job creations. In the Pakistan, the HSA, the Higher Education Commission, they are seriously working on that. It used to be like 4 or 5 years back, they made mandatory that every discipline at either the undergraduate or the master's, means postgraduate level, you have to study the entrepreneurship, the first thing. And afterwards, like 1 month back, they have made an undergraduate policy that every single student, they have to spend 4 hours in a practical way. Like in the theory, they are studying in the class, and they will do the 4 hours practice, and then they have to come up with the idea in form of a startup. And if it startup fail, doesn't mean but they have to go through all the processes, and if they end up, they will get a degree from the HSC or the PEC, Pakistan Engineering Council. Like the Umar is an engineer, I myself is an engineer as well. So, but the both disciplines, the regulatory bodies, they made it mandatory that you have to go through and you have to pass on that. And about the incubator side, yes, in the Pakistan, from the last 5 years, is a tremendous change. The people they are working, there are so many incubation centers outside the university or inside the university. In the university, we are focusing on their mindset that they have to come up with the idea, like the FYPs, final project from undergraduate or from the PhD or on the masters, that you have to do research. And you can see the first you have to research, as I've said earlier, maybe everyone agree or not, that the problem you have faced from your home to your university or your office or anywhere you can go, what you have watching, hearing, you need to find the solution on that. So, and that could be the research you have done, and after that, literature that you have to make your startup either fail or success. That would be a different thing. And afterwards, in the Pakistan, from the last again 4 5 years, they have a facility for the VCs. It used to be there no VCs. It's still very limited, but the people they are doing, like as far as what we are training in the incubator. So there are 2 3 prominent worldwide, the Wonder Tree. You can go and search and Google it. They were born in the incubator. There were students that pass out, and recently they have won a Google Accelerator program from the Asia Pacific. They have won the UNICEF Challenge 2020, and they have won many international awards, and they are doing wonderfully. But they have born and they incubated in the barrier, then they graduated. And in the Pakistan, there are many incubators like National Incubation Centers. Used to be was a Nest IO, Pasha. So they went to the Pasha and they accelerate over there. So now they're working. And as our like last year in 2019, you can go and see the stammers, the world record, the Guinness World Record, made it by the Ahmed Paracha, and the contributor or the incubator from the Bahia University, Karachi. So it is happening, and the people are doing, and the universities in the Pakistan, especially the HSC, the regulatory body, the Higher Education Commission Pakistan, they keep focusing, and the things are changing, but it still require a lot of change. Like if you go and see, there has to be made, because the youth of the Pakistan, you can see that they are the like 20 to between 30s. If you go and see and Google it, you can check the New Zealand and many countries, the population of the youth is more than the whole country. The others, the youth is so huge in the Pakistan. So the role of the incubator is very mandatory, and we have in the Pakistan as the accelerator programs in the Bahia University and other universities, and in days to come, you can see that it will be mandatory in the Pakistan that every university has an incubator, accelerator, and all the programs and trainings. And like as I've told you that 1 month back, the HSC, the Higher Education Commission of the Pakistan, made mandatory from the next semester in like Jan or Feb, that there is a number of the trainings, as I've told you, that 4 hours per week, like 2 years, 4 semesters. The undergraduate, they have to do it, and they have to pass it. Like they have to make a startup. If it's a fail or success, that's anything else. So that's from my side. So you can add it on.
I would agree with my colleague at Bahia that there's a big policy initiative across universities and across countries to promote incubators, accelerators within the university framework. We are doing the same at the Canadian University of Dubai as well. However, if you were to think about the 80s and 90s, the whole world was talking about the American dream, and how New York was the center of where everyone wants to go, and they want to become successful and start up businesses. And mainly the reason for that was because it had an infrastructure and framework which was conducive or was actually promoting people to come up with new startup ideas and to come to the country. However, that has now replaced. Now I would say what used to be the American dream is now the Dubai dream or the UAE dream. So that's one big shift that has happened over this this generation. So if you ask now somebody of this student age group, where do you want to go? UAE will definitely be on that list at the top of the end of the list. So essentially having and that's because of the leadership of the country in moving towards a knowledge-based economy and its proactive policies. So I would say essentially that it plays a very important role to have incubators, accelerators, and this move towards virtual incubators is the right one that's happening, meaning it's using globalization to its advantage of different talents and capitals that universities can pull in to provide support for the student ideas and so on. So what I've seen is I run a competition with my students, and many of them went there just to present their idea at a competition, and a lot of investors said, we want to invest into your idea, and they were like, no, we're just here to present the idea, we're not wanting to start this up. So that speaks volumes about the UAE in itself, in terms of the drive and the capital and the whole infrastructure and the setup that's there for students. So essentially, it's very important to have those resources, and for universities to have those agreements and reach out. And it's our job and responsibility as academics and enterprise educators, or people who are passionate about entrepreneurship, to bring those people together to support the next generation of entrepreneurs. Now, we do recognize that students are not always, entrepreneurially as mature to actually go out, but it's our job to provide that support and confidence, that reassurance to actually drive forward. So that's what I have to say about it. So I very much agree, and especially with Pakistan as well. I understand Pakistan quite well, although it's been about 10, 12 years since I've been into Pakistan, but I think I'm on the crossroads of this whole panel. Being born in the UK, being of Pakistani descent, working for the Canadians in the UAE, so it's a very different combination, but it always helps when relating to different contexts as well. Thank you.
That's can I add something? Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay. It's all what they say is great. It's fantastic. But I have one prototype model, which I, in 2010, I see that in Russia. Starting the college, they put them the form, they asking them, what do you want to be tomorrow? So this is one of the great idea we have to do it with the student, and we ask them what they want to be, and then we have to work on them skills as university or college, and then we filter them. Is really this person, he will be that what he's wishing to be? Are we going to build his dream in his study? And then what they do normally, the people who choose to be in aviation as a pilot, they put them only in aviation and anything dealing with aviation. Who want to be engineer, they put him in school for engineering. Who want to be doctor, they put him, motivating him to be a doctor. Today, we are building a nation. We are building the youth. So last 2 years, we done something called, which, because I'm in youth empowerment, so we start incubating and promoting the youth. We do for them future leader for tomorrow, and we do future entrepreneur. So we select them. We took 10 by 10 by 10, and we build up them circle and let them deal with each other, motivate each other. We follow and we do a report. I think the university can give this these fields, but they cannot build them as entrepreneur, because they have to experience the market to be in the real market. Because sometimes when you study to be a doctor, it's good, but after that you have to pass the theory. Same thing in engineering. If you don't pass the theory, the real action, you will not understand what it means. Books are very good to read, but when you implement what you read in the real world of the business, it's something different. I study medicine, but I never was my passion to be a doctor. And I stopped doctor, and I am now today businesswoman, because not what we choose always is the right choice. So I think is one rule of some special corner in that university, which are working specially for how to motivate, to promote that part professional and the student. And this is one of the field which we have to add with Ministry of Education, to put special part on this to motivate the youth or the student to be something for tomorrow. There is a lot of university like Canadian, American, and others university which they done already indirectly that. But in UAE, they are also working on this, and they are promoting the youth circuit, and they are motivating them to grab from them the brilliant people. Usually what we do in university, we took top 10. They are the brilliant, but sometimes not because you are the first in whole university that you are the greatest one. Some people, they cannot express themselves, but they are genius, but they miss that speak up. And this is also one field which we have to create in our children, our leader of tomorrow. If they don't speak great, that's not mean they are not great. So a lot of issues which have to be solved for the youth, and it's our mission, our duty to do that. And I know it's not easy, because there is a system to follow and a regime to execute for the university. But I think we have to go out of the box to think the same mind to help these children and this future leader for tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. I just wanted to add one point on that. I do agree with you, Ms. Laila, that entrepreneurship by doing rather than having a theories and all the books and all the things which is necessary, but they will only learn my experiences only by doing you can understand. And after the understanding, there's a very much a factor called a failure factor, because most of the startups, they won't come into the area because of the failure. The failure is the most important thing. But normally, what we are trying to make and give incorporations rather than, because there's a two thing normally the people they do have their mind, either you would be a successful or you would be a fail, like this successful, okay, fair enough, and your failure. But normally we replace with this, either you'd be on a successful or either you will be on a good learning side. It would be a success or a learning. You need to replace with the failure, which is a very important thing, because when we are talking about the entrepreneurship by doing rather than having the theory, the big theories, they are evacuation theory, they have many of things. I do agree, but this is the most important thing. So that's what we are dealing in the incubation center, the youth, that you need to be either successful or either you're on a learning stage. You need to replace your failure with your learning. Thank you.
I would just say,
And to that point, don't you think that we've missed the point here, that we should be bringing entrepreneurship into high schools? We're talking about universities here.
Right, you're right.
We should be bringing, this should be in high schools. And I think going back to where, the ecosystem or, allowing that fear, I think you brought fear of failure. Just imagine if we taught that back into high schools and we embedded that growth mindset of it's okay to make mistakes right there. And then we're in that pipeline into universities that then really feeds into the field of entrepreneurship. I strongly believe that if we are thinking about youth, we need to really think about where entrepreneurship is positioned. And if we take it to that level, I think we're going to be fantastic for the future. But I know that we've been very lucky enough, and we've partnered with the MIT Launch X clubs across the world, and I strongly suggest everyone looks at this work because it embeds entrepreneurship into high schools, and so that we're beginning to have that wonderful growth mindset of making mistakes, being able to think entrepreneurial at that level, and then MIT and other I know universities offer opportunities to go and pitch at various different times of the year. So if we are strongly believing in this, I'm not quite sure if kindergarten is quite the place. But I strongly think with academics on the panel that, at least high schools. So I'd like to pass it out.
For the high school, we start a long time to do it because, sorry, cutting you. I was with the PhD as a trustees board member for the parents, and we started but different way. We did for them trustees shop. There is things on a lot of things, cookies and so, and they come, they put the dollar and they grab what do you want, chocolate, whatever, and we make one manager of that trustee shop who did not pay, write the notes, and that was already they start trading with each other, the kids, and from that we did make, this is in Dubai actually and still existing, they exchange between each other chocolate, cookies, and so it is called trustees traders. So there is a lot of great idea which you can implement with the children or student, but it's again a system. If it's that system can help, sometimes the parents, they don't want them children to be on that system since they are, unless they are 18. So we cannot force for that. But I think to be entrepreneur need always to have a real real life of entrepreneur and need motivation from the parents, from the student, from the school, from authorities. It's not like that. We cannot build entrepreneur like this progress. It's always, I say, we have to work for skills, and that skill need a lot of knowledge and need also that we want to change. If we don't want that change, we cannot build it up. Thank you.
I highly agree with Excellency. Having role models is very important, and also having role models within different communities. And that's why one thing I've been noticing, everyone's been referring to an entrepreneur as a he in this panel, and I think that's definitely going to be a problem for Miss Tracy, especially on this, because so I think the diversity element is very, very important. And not just in terms of gender, but also in terms of ethnicity, immigration statuses, and so on, because Steve Jobs doesn't appeal to me or my background, you know. So essentially recognizing that, yes, indeed, as academics or as practitioners, we are responsible for providing a variety of inspirations to our students and the youth and so on. So that was one part of it. The second part of it was that it's quite important to recognize that the model, especially in Western Europe, they have already fostered and adopted this whole idea of young enterprise and young enterprise competitions who go through a national competition being at high school. And some of the work that, and I've been a judge to the young enterprise a few years ago, and the stuff that they're coming up with is remarkable. So this is the model that is already being adopted in the West. I think maybe it's just taking time, but it has to have a higher level push at a national level for it to be effective. If there are just a few schools playing a few games in between each other, it's not going to have the same effect. And I do believe that as children are the most creative at the youngest age, you look at a child, they'll be the most creative. It might not make any sense. It might just go and stick an apple on top of something, and you think, what's this, you know? But essentially, they are more creative. But as soon as they get into high schools and they start wearing the uniforms and they start learning discipline, they start reducing in their creative abilities. So that's the second thing that perhaps kindergarten might be a bit too soon, but I do believe that high schools are definitely a good pipeline to supply to universities for people to be entrepreneurially aware. For me, I think it's more important that students have a good recognition of their own enterprising abilities rather than creating business startups. Because we know that a number of business startups fail in their first 3 years. As a matter of fact, the majority of them do. I wouldn't want any of my students to be risking with their parents' retirement fund, you know, in a business startup and then to fail. So I rather the student have a better understanding, appreciation of their enterprising abilities, their risk-taking potential, and so on, or their propensities. Because many students might walk in, and I've had this, walk in and say, I want to start up a business. Like, really, you want to start up a business? Yeah, I want to start up a business. Okay, so let's come to the course. Let's do a simulation. As soon as they've done the simulation, their enterprising tendencies start to come down instead of going up. And if you interpret that in another way, it's that, okay, they started realizing that the whole idea of pursuing entrepreneurship is much more difficult than what they thought initially. The whole idea of being self-employed sounded very appealing, but as soon as they got into the technicality of it, they realized that actually, no, I want to be a marketing guy, or I want to be a finance guy, or whatever. So essentially recognizing that students need to know exactly what does it take to be an entrepreneur, what are the sacrifices that you make are more important than the number of business startups that are created. But if you take this from an economic or policy point of view, they're interested from numbers. How many numbers did we have? I would also say take into consideration the number of failures as well, not just the number of startups that come from the university or from the spin-offs or that, because essentially this is real people, real money, and it's a real loss of talent if you're not nurturing them in the right way or giving that appreciation of themselves. So essentially, that's where I would talk more about enterprising skills, which are more transferable within different contexts, within organizational contexts, so that all students should be, regardless whether they're doctor, engineer, they should be able to think in an enterprising way. I see that as important, not just going and starting businesses, but having that mindset to drive within organizations as well, if things don't work out in entrepreneurship, if things don't work out upon graduation of their degree programs. Thank you.
I thought that was such great information from everyone. And here in the United States, we do have some incubator programs that are focused in high school. So happy to see that. And we recently started one ourselves for women entrepreneurs. We partnered with a co-working space. But I think really how we can help them the most is give them the support needed to go into the world as a successful business when they leave there. So I will go on those. Many of them aren't going to have a viable business, but it is so much better for them to find out before they go out and put all that money in there, like Naveed had said, which happens so much. But one of the beautiful things is everybody's working together. All the other people in the cohort, our women are working together and supporting each other. And those are going to be the networks that are going to carry on when they launch their business. And they're going to have others that they can rely on. But again, I think we're giving them the best tools to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Tracy, for the last information, which is one of the questions that we have gotten the comments from Larib. She's asking about the being a woman and entrepreneurship journey for the female panelists. If you want to talk about this topic specifically.
The journey for the entrepreneur. Okay. As entrepreneur, I will say not any things is easy to start. And you have to think 10 times more than you launch yourself to be a businesswoman. No one born businessman or businesswoman. It is a hard job. You have to think 10 times before putting your money, yourself in any market. Of course, the women lift hands together and help each other. And the woman, maybe it's born as accountant, since she's handling her house, her children, small committee, and she's dealing with her home and her business outside work. So we have our mind always prepared to deal 5 or 6 things in same time. It's not like a man. He's well synchronized and organized. He have to make first step and then second step and third step. And the woman, she's handling 4 things in same time. She can cook, she can take care of children, she can answer the phone, and she can either do work from her or outside home. Today, to be entrepreneur with the technology, the door is open for everyone. But it is the right place to do business. How are we going to do it? A lot of 100 questions we have to build. Are we ready to be entrepreneur? Because it's a responsibility. When you are in a business, you don't think about yourself, your income, and your company. It's a family company, because those people working with you is a part of that business. It's a bigger part which you have to handle more than your business. So my journey, my experience, I start a different field until what I am today. I did tourism, I did petroleum, I did empowerment, I did B2B, a lot of real estates. In the end, I am today, because of COVID, doing a networking, bridging the people together and giving services for business setup, which is make my life more easy. And I'm working on that in virtual way, because it's just give consultancy and teach them how to build them business in UAE and make for them the license and help them for the finance, opening account. That was more easy than handling 45 employee, and I have to think my home and them family. It was a very huge responsibility, and it's cost me a lot, psychically, psychologically, and also physically. Because today, when you are as a leader and you have your little circle, you have to feed 16 family. It's very difficult when there is no income. So we don't have to please others, and we cannot sustainable that business and make the turnover. I think the journey for businessman is not easy, because people, when they see you, the CEO of a company, they think you are the solution maker. But the solution cannot come from one person. It's a teamwork. And when that team is expectation only from you, that the hard job for you. That's why always we have to think 10 times before to make our journey for any business, because it's a huge responsibility. We have to find always solution how to help to carry and to sustainable this job for everyone. And I am sure all the people with us here, they have a great experience, and they can say them journey, because especially when you are women in Arabic world, and I'm lucky to be in UAE, because UAE given always like a red carpet for women and making it easy and empowering women in a proper way. That's why it's easy for me that I am a businesswoman. Thank you. Any question, I'm ready to answer.
Ms. Tracy, Dr. Samantha, if you want to comment about the last statement.
Okay, about being a woman and entrepreneur, we're still on that one. I just want to say I have been an entrepreneur for 25 years, and I owned a very well-known retail store. And I remember someone coming in to me and asking where my husband was. So there is a lot that women are not always taken seriously in business, that we are capable of running and taking it and being successful. I think many times we need to work harder than others to prove that we can do it. And while we're doing that, we're also raising a family and have all those other responsibilities as well. So I think we have to defy some of the social expectations. One of the things that is critical to women business owners is funding. Women are not getting the money or the financial backing that others are getting. And when they do get funding, they do not get the same percentage or amounts that men are getting. So I think it's very difficult, but we see more and more women starting businesses every day. So I think whatever we can do to help them, give them the tools that they need to succeed. We need to take them seriously and know that they can do this and start these businesses. And as I had talked about with our incubator program, we need to build the support network for women, and we need to have one that has legal, funding, support, everything that is needed so women can successfully start a business, and let them know of all the resources that are available to them. So many don't know that you can get free business advising, that there are lenders that have programs for you, there are classes you can take. So I think it's very important to get out all the resources and let women know what is there and how we're all there to help them and to make them be a success. Thank you.
I'd like to second Tracy and Her Excellency Layla. And going back to our very, very first question, which was, are entrepreneurs born or, developed? And I think that, look at our mothers. They were the best entrepreneur lesson we could ever get. And I think Tracy has already alluded to that, and Her Excellency Layla has alluded to that too. But I think also that, we're in a really amazing opportunistic time. And I think for women in entrepreneurship, I see 80% of our cohorts and our programs are women. And I think this is very exciting. And I think we have an incredible opportunity. And I think also that we have the opportunity to shift the conversation around, it's not just about gender, it's also about mindset, and it's about talent, and it's about resiliency. And despite the gender, I think that we have an incredible opportunity to take this and really align with our talents and our growth mindset as entrepreneurs and really lead the way. And now is the time. And if anything, COVID-19 and pandemic has really challenged us to pivot and to be agile and to be flexible. And I think we have that opportunity right now. So the opportunity is there. Let's go for it. Thank you.
Since we have our last 10 minutes, one advice you give for the entrepreneurs, for the startups, for the leaders of the future.
Okay, I just wanted to comment here. You need to kill your fear. That's the most important thing. Never afraid of fail. What you want to do it, just do it. If you get successful, fair enough. It is fail. Don't worry. Turn the word failure with your learning. That you have learned something, and it is your experience. And you need to work it harder and harder. And if it is anything come up, I can understand if we are dealing and we are talking about the young entrepreneurs. Obviously, if they are university student wherever in the whole world, obviously they have a lack of resources, and they can say, okay, we have a limited number of resources, what we can do and what opportunity that they have wait for us. So in that situations, you can start from anywhere with your limited amount of your pocket amount or whatever amount it is, but doesn't mean that they can stop you by a failure that you cannot do if you don't have such this thing, that thing, that thing, this thing. So this is for my advice. You need to work on your failure. Once you work on that, you can do whatever you want, and you never be defeated, because you say, okay, I'm in the learning stage. If it has happened, that's fair enough. This is a good learning for me. I will not do that thing again. Thank
So
you from my
beautiful.
side.
I say nothing is impossible. Always there is solution to everything. And to be entrepreneur, you have to be prepared for it. And you have to build your dream. The dream is beautiful, but reality is facing us. So never enter to the market which you don't know, and never do things without preparing yourself. To be entrepreneur is to be leader. And before to be leader, think also that humanity, it's unity. Diversity is inclusion. And tomorrow is for everyone. And no one is eternal. You have to build up your team, your set mind. You have to have your assets, your tool, and then you go. The universe is so big. If you fail somewhere, you have to take again the chance to build yourself. The career needs study, knowledge, and need always to be motivated, and need innovation, because today with what's going on, Zoom, internet, and say we can learn a lot. No one born a genius. We build up our skill with our surrender, and we always have to have advisor and consult the people who have experience before us. Learning is always building your personality. We can learn from diversity, from new market, from people. No one is better than anyone. Each one has a light inside him and has that power. Just you have to press the button and do it. I think motivation and challenge is the big door for everyone, because entrepreneur, there is some people, they are alphabet, they have grocery, and now they have big supermarket. And I remember my uncle one side tell me, you see this gentleman, he don't know how to write, but he's billionaire. So today, maybe it will be not chance for alphabet to be in the market because of technology. That's why we have always to prepare ourselves and to learn more. Learning is upgrading yourself. So motivation is beautiful, and we have to put our hand together and left-handed and go ahead for new market and connect, build the bridges of connection. Connect always with different people, no matter who they are, which color, which religion, which mindset, which level of education. Connect, you learn from a people a lot. Thank you. And unity is humanity. Thank you.
I would second all of those comments, and I feel that you beat me to it, because I was exactly going to say the same thing, really. But I think anyone who is considering pursuing entrepreneurship, my advice to them would be, is don't be scared to not know everything. You're not expected to know everything. You're expected to be learning all the time, especially in a field that's so dynamic, especially when you're out there to change the way things are to revolutionize industries and change industries and to disrupt economies and markets and so on, always remember that you're always going to be learning, and always have a good self-assessment of yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And to find the right support that would overcome those weaknesses and to enhance those qualities and strengths that you have. So that would be my advice, and always consult with people, talk to people, because people have different types of skills and knowledge which could add value to your business idea, business proposition, and provide different insights. So I would say don't be scared of not knowing something. Always know that you're expected to be an all-rounder to a certain level. So you're always learning, and always look for opportunities to learn from people from different walks of life. Thank you.
Such great advice from everybody, and I think we all are thinking somewhat the same here. But I do think one of the most important things for an entrepreneur is to be flexible. There is not a straight road to success. As an entrepreneur, things change all the time, so you need to be able to adapt to that. We've seen so much of that during COVID, where people have had to pivot into areas unknown. And I've seen some that have been so successful and others didn't do as well because they aren't as flexible about it. Make sure you always keep learning, improve your skills that you can, adapt to the changing environment, and take advantage of all the free resources that are available to you to help grow, start, or even sustain your business. So I believe flexibility is one of the strongest assets you can have as an entrepreneur. Thank you.
And as a segue to Tracy's flexibility, I want to talk about entrepreneurship as like a corporate athlete. You need to have that discipline. And as Tracy mentioned, and everyone on the panel today, you need to reach out and to look at opportunities for learning, continual growth, that growth mindset. There's so many incredible courses from very amazing universities on edX and Coursera, and it's open to you. So please develop that strength, that resiliency as an athlete. You'll need that as an entrepreneur. The second advice would be your network. Connect with an incredible network, whether it's a legal mentorship, whether it's investor mentorship. Start with the end in mind. Get into an investor mindset so that you're building from success from the very beginning. So your network and your ecosystem is critical. And then the third, I think, final message would be is to think about the 3 Ps. To really engage with passion, persistence, and also perseverance, so that whenever you are in that challenging situation where you have to pivot or be agile or be flexible, you've got that resiliency, that real strength as an athlete. And I'm sharing with you a QR code there because I'd like for you to connect with us. We have an incredible innovation ecosystem society. And if you want to reach out and you need to have a network, we're offering complimentary membership for our innovation ecosystem society so that you can connect and that you can align with expertise so you continue to grow, develop, and pivot as an entrepreneur. I'll be sending this QR code to you later. Thank you.
You can find the QR code there in the comments, as Dr. Samantha is going to put it in the YouTube channel. So one a question that is repeated again and again in the comments, that is about the specialty in the secondary school, the college, and after that, how to change it during the entrepreneurship journey. And the other thing is that, do we need a business training to be entrepreneurs or no? We can take 2 comments about this one.
Sorry, say again. Did you say?
Yeah, repeating the question. Yeah, Repeating the question. Do we need a specific training for entrepreneurship? Do we need, like, for example, business training? And the other thing is that if I have a field in study, do we need to change it, or like I can work in another field that is not my field in the study?
Yes, we do, because it's very necessary. First of all, entrepreneurship by doing, but it's necessary that if you want to drive a car, definitely you need a certain training to driving a car. So being an entrepreneur, yes, there are certain trainings that we need to go through, but it doesn't mean that you have to be a bookish person, that you are having gone through theories, models, this and that. No, but yes, it is. And there are many trainings available, like in our incubation center in the Barry University, Karachi, that we are offering the pre-incubation training set mindset training. They call 10 SPs, 10 step of process before starting in entrepreneurship, or if you want to be and start as entrepreneur. So there are so many trainings running on. There are many boot camps they're running on in every different institutes. They do have a different content. So yes, it is necessary, but it is not mandatory that you have to have all the trainings every time you are being to training. But the one thing, the entrepreneurship by doing. Thank you.
I think wherever you train the people to be entrepreneur, if they don't have that charisma and that personality and that force and strength to be entrepreneur, they will not succeed. Because you maybe give them that ability to learn the business, but if they are not real businessmen and they don't have that belief and trust, we have to build on them trust first, and to build for them knowledge, and they want to be. If not, not anyone can be businessman or entrepreneur. It's not easy. Many people, they open a business and they have a billions and billions of the money there, but they did not succeed. They fell. And I know a lot of Italian and a lot of French, they come to Dubai and they're great leadership, great businessmen in them country. When they come to Dubai, they fell. Because the knowledge of each entrepreneur for each culture, each region, each country, it's different. When people they go to China, the Chinese have different set mind, different education on a business, different than Vietnamese, different than Malaysian. So I think to be entrepreneur is a lot of things together to make you a businessman. Not easy to be a businessman because you want to be a businessman and because they train you to be a businessman. You're not a soldier. You have to have a passion of business. And no one can be a lawyer just because he studied law. If you don't have that charisma, you have that set mind, like I say, mindset, and that intelligence, how to play in each case by a different way, you cannot be. It's like a maestro or like a cooker. You can be great cooker because your knowledge is Italian food, but you cannot great cooker when you go to Pakistan or to India. I think each region have different way to deal with entrepreneur. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's just some highlight. Each one has to believe inside him, to have faith and to trust himself that he can do it, he can make it. Whatever you put as knowledge in his brain, if he don't have that, cannot succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Highness. Thank you, Engineer Sayed. Another question from Muhammad Isa. He says, most of youth entrepreneurs thinking about the risk. So which one is good for entrepreneurship, to be risk taker or risk calculator?
Okay, there has to be a risk calculator. There has to be a calculated risk, but doesn't mean that, as Dr. Naveed said, that because some of the students they wanted to put the money of their retirement of their parents, so it doesn't mean that you have to be a calculated risk. You have a timeline, that in that timeline, if you done it fair enough, then afterwards you need to engage with another thing. But yes, being an entrepreneur. And as we are talking about the mindset, yes, it is the mindset that you can do it afterwards. It doesn't mean that you have to go on one thing, you got fail, okay, fair enough. So it has to be a risk calculator, means calculated risk according to your budget. And you have to work on that. Otherwise, there will be a great failure, that if you lost your money, if your savings, so it would be a disaster. Thank you.
You know,
Can I
one
just
thing.
ask a question here?
One
Sorry,
one
yes.
one thing, and then I'm with you. I'm sorry, because Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, God bless him, and he's a great leader. There, he's well known about one slogan. He say, "The big risk when you don't take a risk," and I am agree with this. The big risk when you don't take a risk. If you are a great leader or great entrepreneur, you have to take a risk. If you keep calculating, you will not go far. You will keep calculating. So I think the great things when you take risk and you are capable to evaluate that risk. Thank you. I'm sorry. I just want to highlight this. Thank you.
Okay, so I think the context of risk is being referred to in terms of financial capital or startup capital here. That's what I would assume. If we look at the history of the best businesses in the world, or the largest businesses in the world, they all started up in a garage with a very limited amount of capital. So essentially, do you really need to have, abundance of, financial capital to start up a business? Well, if you look into the history of these big startups, they're all garage-based startups. They're all started up at home with a limited amount of capital. So for entrepreneurship, you need a good idea, and you can find, being entrepreneurial is finding alternative ways of doing things and doing things more efficiently, so that you can start up. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you need huge amounts of capital. You need a good idea. So I would say it's pretty much both, really. Risk taking, having a calculated risk taking ability, but sometimes you have to take that step forward and take a wild risk as well. So I don't think it's either or sort of the approach this question. Thank you.
Our panelists, thank you for the great informative session. Our audience, we hope you enjoyed the session and got some information about how about the leadership and entrepreneurship journey. Thank you for the Youth International Conclave for bringing this. Engineer Omar, the president of YIC, who is working behind the scene, preparing all of these, this session and many other more. Please visit us in the Youth International Conclave. You will find the link in the YouTube channel. It is our pleasure to see you in the next times of our sessions. Have a good night, everyone, or have a good morning, or have a good afternoon based on your place.
Thank you to our great moderator.
All right. Thank you
It
very
was
much.
very
Thank you
great.
very much.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Take care.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Have a nice
Bye-bye.
Thanks a
afternoon.
lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
We need to get a photo, a team photo.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good idea. Omar, could you please take
We
it?
have to meet again, and we have to do some.
Yes.
See you all, everyone. Bye-bye.